Hi, I'm Chris Kalman, and I am an alcohol inks artist, and I want to share with you some of my techniques for making some really pretty art, and it's also very fun. So first I want to go over the packages that you have received. So first is a Blooms package, and with that you got alcohol and 3 colors: yellow, blue, and red. And then you also got a black and white ink. And for this exercise, we are not going to use these, but put them aside. And then you also got some paper. You got a large piece, a half piece, and a quarter piece. You got quite a few, actually. Straws and some of these little makeup or dental tools, whatever you want to call them. And these are for making your centers. So first we're going to get a little acquainted with alcohol inks. It's suggested to use them in a well-ventilated room. For the purpose of these classes, we do use straws, and it's just to blow the ink around. And just be careful that you don't breathe in the straw. You know, alcohol is toxic, and we need to be careful. So just some simple rules. So you have to bear with me here because this is my first time doing videos. I have a turntable, and you don't need one at all, but they're kind of fun. This is actually just a baker's turntable, like for cakes or whatever, and you can see I use it a lot. I'm just putting a piece of paper under it. Normally what I do is I get the dollar tablecloths from like the dollar store, Dollar General, whatever. And you can cut those up, or you can just fold them up, and I use them over and over. They're just loaded, and of course the ink dries quickly, so you can use them quite a while. But you want to protect your space, because the inks, especially when you're blowing with the straw, they will kind of blow around, and you can certainly get yourself dirty or stain something else. If you take alcohol, and what I'm using here is just 91% isopropyl alcohol. Okay. You could usually clean up most stains. So with the abstract class, what you received would be the 3 colors of ink, the yellow, red, and blue, and also a green. And some of the tops don't really match the colors, and I apologize for that, but if you hold them up to the light, you can see what color it is, easy enough. I did get requests for certain colors, like teals or purples. And the reason that I use these colors is they all blend very well to give you a good result. You're less likely to make muddy colors, which blending the wrong colors can definitely do. And we'll kind of go over that as I show you your sample piece, so you can get to know and understand kind of how the inks work. So with the abstract class, you get those colors, and you also get the alcohol, straws, and you get 2 pens. And one is a black pen and one is a white jelly pen. And I'll be showing you how to do that as we go along. So first things first, we're just going to use these 3 colors, the blue, yellow, and red, because everyone has these. And I'm just going to show you a few things that we can do so you have an understanding of how they move. If you can start with a couple drops of alcohol. And I want you to save these little ones because you can make greeting cards with them. And I'll just take a blue, and you can see how it the alcohol makes it move around. So I'm going to take my straw. I'm just going to blow it a little bit. And I like to kind of turn it upside down so this bendy thing is on the end, because I have more control. So now I'm just going to take a little bit of red, and I'm going to kind of go in there. Oop, that one really squirts out. I think I will use a different one. Okay, so for those who want purple, the red and the blue will make purple. I'm not going to add any more alcohol at this time. I'm just going to use a little bit of yellow. I'm going to put that on the red and just kind of blow it out. And the red and the yellow, of course, will make orange. I'll turn my paper a little bit. I'm not going to turn the wheel because I'll knock everything over. I'm pretty clumsy most of the time. It's a little more alcohol over here. I'm going to drop a blue. My house is off kilter apparently. And a drop of yellow, and we're going to make green. So that gives you an idea of blending your colors. And of course it depends on how much of each color you're using, and the alcohol will make it soupier. The more alcohol you use, the more things will move around. The less, of course, you use, the less they'll move around. So I'm just going to add a few more colors. Actually, I'm going to put a little yellow over here. Yellow and purple and green and red can make some kind of muddy brown. And sometimes that effect is really cool. But if you don't want it, just kind of avoid getting them too close together. As you can see, I've got a little bit of that going on here. And I kind of like that effect sometimes, but adding a couple drops to my yellow. And blow that around a little bit. I don't know if you can see my head in the video, but I have quarantine hair. It's half gray, half purple, half brown. It's pretty crazy. So can't use alcohol inks on my head. Just a couple more drops. Do a little purple over here. A little drop of alcohol. You can see I'm kind of blowing the inks into the other inks. And we're just experimenting, and that's the whole idea of this. Later on, I will give you some fun ideas of things you can do, blow dry or heat gun. I am known to light things on fire, which I think is really fun, but you have to be really careful. And that's another thing. If you are using alcohol inks, please keep any open flames away from your project. And smoking goes without saying, just keep fire away because it is very flammable. Add a little more yellow down here. And I'm gonna put a little bit of alcohol here, and I'm gonna kind of drop some alcohol around so you can kind of see how it changes the colors as I drop it. And I can leave that. I'm going to blow this around a little bit. A couple more drops here. So we're getting something kind of interesting. And like I said, this is just giving you a feel for how the inks work. And if you don't blow them around, you let them dry on your own, you might get more bubbles. If you're gonna use your straw, then you're gonna distort some of these shapes. So I don't know that I necessarily need to fill in the whole thing, but as I turn this around, this would be good for the abstract class. I'm kind of noticing I have a little sun here. So I'm just going to put a little drop in there, and I'm going to put a couple drops down here. Just kind of maybe like a sunbeam, I guess. Just experimenting. And if you're trying to really control alcohol inks, that's a whole different animal. For this is just really even the blooms are abstract. So we're just playing with the inks. There are ways to control this really beautifully. It takes some skill. There are a lot of people out there that are amazing artists that do landscapes and people. And I mean, I've seen incredible work. And I have done some work with alcohol inks where I do try to control things better. And it takes a lot of practice. And personally, I like this method, so I'm not really into that. But if you are, you can look on YouTube and you can look up like alcohol ink portraits, landscapes, animals, etc. And you can find some good info there. Also, I kind of have a weird flower here. I'm just going to put a couple drops here, I think. And I'm going to put a little bit of yellow in there and make kind of a more of an orangey, because that's just kind of, there's nothing going on there. And once again, I'm just going to make a couple drops. And of course, you know, as it dries, if you notice, like this is wet, so it's doing its own thing. This over here was dry. So when I'm putting a dot there, you can see it's a little different effect. It does dry quickly. However, the more you layer it, the more you're going to have to wait. And if you feel the need to try to make it drier faster, you can take your straw and just kind of blow above it and in kind of like a circle. And we do that in the blooms class. In kind of a circle to get it to dry a little faster. One thing that's kind of a bummer, especially in the summer, is using these straws. And even I use an airbrush often just for the air. I don't put any colors in the airbrush, but I just use it for the air. You'll tend to get some moisture, and that's obviously because your breath is moist. So you might get some little dots of what looks like water. When that all dries, you can always dab that with a paper towel. Otherwise it dries, and sometimes it makes a cool effect. But it's one thing that you might think, okay, why am it looks like I'm spitting all over it. You're not spitting all over it. Well, a little bit you are, but it does dry. You don't have to worry too much. That's the thing that doesn't bother me. Some artists, it drives them crazy, but remember, we're doing more of an abstract project. So I'm going to let this dry and get ready to show you how to make some beautiful blooms and also some interesting abstract things. This I'm going to save for the abstract class, and I'm going to show you how to make a greeting card, and I'm going to use this to make my greeting card. And if you have any questions whatsoever, you can always catch me via Facebook Messenger at Calnin Arts. So it's at CALNINARTS, and I'm happy to answer any questions. I also am probably going to make a student group for us, and we can do some live feeds and we can share our art. I'd love to have other people see what you're doing with the class, and I certainly want to see. I'm really excited. I've done classes even with kids and their parents. I did a Girl Scout class with blooms. It was a mom scout grandma thing, and the results were just amazing. There was only one lady in the whole group of 23 people that ever had worked with alcohol inks, and she always used a brush. So even this method was new to her, and we just had such a great time and made super beautiful things the first time. So I think you'll really enjoy this, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.